How's it on?
Yep.
Oh, it's on. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talks with Jody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest content. Let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Unfiltered Talks with Dr. Nadia. Nadia, it's good to have you back.
Thank you for having me once again.
That's awesome. And today we will be talking about mental health talks within the medical field. So I hear this saying, let's put it as saying, doctors don't cry. Please elaborate. What does that mean?
I think there's just a big expectation on doctors and people who work in the healthcare industry that you need to be this resilient, almost emotionless person. You need to act professional no matter what you experience, what you see. You can't show your emotions. I mean, if you have to deliver very difficult news to a patient or to family, you can't start crying with them. You need to keep face, keep cool, calm, and collected, and just push everything else aside. Push your personal feelings aside. Push everything that you're wanting to say just down. Just deal with the patient in front of you. It's kind of like this expectation that people have, and a lot of the time, us as doctors and healthcare professionals, we keep pushing these feelings down, and at the end of the day, it leads to big mental health issues for us. The amount of healthcare workers who have anxiety, depression, PTSD, it's ridiculous. The trigger warning, suicide rates, really, really high. There's a lot of doctors who turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like substance use. So there's a lot in terms of healthcare that people don't see. A lot of things that, people assume it's this Grey's Anatomy picture. The drama is exciting. Yeah. Everyone loves the drama from Grey's Anatomy, but it's not like that in real life. It's really not. So there's a lot of things that should be spoken about, and they just don't get, they don't get brought to light, essentially.
Why is that? Is there too much consideration for you guys that are working hands-on, or why are we not talking about it?
So it depends.
your signature line.
It depends. I think it's got to do with you as a person, whether you are someone who is willing to talk about your experiences with people in your field who will understand your struggles. If you feel vulnerable enough to open up and say, look, I know you are my colleague and you seem to be coping really well, but I'm struggling. Like, I feel burnt out. I feel depressed. I just can't deal with work anymore. It's becoming too much. Versus you wanting to speak to your family about it, telling them, I just had a horrible day, this happened. Someone shouted at me. I wanted to cry, and they don't really understand the context because they don't know what you go through. So it's difficult to talk about with people who will understand because not all of them experience the same thing. And I think it's a thing for me, especially it's a thing of I don't want to open myself up and say I'm struggling and then just for you to be like, but it's so easy. What do you mean? Like, no one else is struggling. It's just that fear of being the only one who's struggling and then not wanting to speak about it. And wanting to speak about it to family who will be supportive and compassionate, but not understanding and feeling like they don't know how to help you. They don't understand. They can't. They just have to sit there.
Yes.
So there's a lot that goes into this topic of doctors don't cry and, why people don't speak about it. I started speaking to people in my field this year. Internship is hard. for me at least. And the more I spoke about it, the more I realized that other people feel the same way. From the outside, when I see them in the hospital working, they look, smiling, happy, obviously overworked and a bit tired, but they look like they're coping really well. And I suppose that's a front that we all put on in the hospital. But you don't know what happens when they go home. They crying their eyes out on the way home, or like after call, they're bawling their eyes out. It was a horrible call. And they don't talk about it because we all experience it. So someone's done it before, someone's gotten through it before. There's this expectation of, I must be able to get through it too. So that also plays a big role.
And obviously, what also makes things feel a bit worse is that, like you said, doctors are not allowed to cry with their patients. They're not allowed to cry with the families. So going home and you dealing with it the way you do is also that built-up frustration of, oh, why can't I just cry with this person? Why can't this family? And I can only imagine. I can only imagine this like you mentioned, the depression, the stress, the anxiety, what you guys go through. Like you said, it's for us to just to listen, but we'll never really understand unless we're in that, filling in your shoes and being in that ward, being in surgery or wherever it is that you guys are going through the trauma.
Yeah, and I think it's got to do a lot more with not just what we see and our patients dying, but it's basic things like working super long hours, being on call 5 times a month, sleep deprived, not having time during a normal working day to just sit down for half an hour and have lunch. Me feeling like I actually can't be drinking too much because I'm not going to have time to go to the toilet. So I need to just dehydrate. I'm dehydrated at baseline. I make jokes about it all the time. I think it's very funny. Other people don't, but you know what? As long as
it's
I'm
your coping
entertaining
mechanism.
myself.
It's your coping mechanism.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, I make jokes about these things. I probably shouldn't. They're serious, but life's too short to be serious about everything. So, yeah, it's what we see, what we have to go through on a daily basis, the people that we're exposed to, the environment. There's just a lot of things that play into what affects our mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how you use that humor as a coping mechanism. But it's funny that you would use that as a coping mechanism, and then the person that says doesn't want you to laugh, they use that as a defensive mechanism. But the defensive mechanism is for you.
Yes.
So it's funny how us as humans respond and react to certain things and scenarios. So no, I'm glad you actually find the humor in it. I mean, like I said, you're living it, so you could sort of depict how you feel and how you want to cope.
Yeah.
So no, it's crazy just hearing that, and I can only imagine you as well. Like what, I'm sure you got some stories for us in terms of the stress and anxiety,
stories.
all the juicy stories. And you're saying also like with the whole dehydration, and I'm sure that also stress you out or makes you feel a bit moody, change your mood.
I think, not having the opportunity to drink water or drink juice or whatever, I feel that my body needs when I'm at work, just because I'm worried about, I have so much work to do. I actually want to leave work on time today, which means I'm going to sacrifice basic needs like going to the toilet. I'm just going to sacrifice that. It can wait 7 hours until I get home. I need to sort my patients out so that I can actually leave on time and not have a 10-hour workday. Just a normal 9 hours. It's fine. It's not fine, but I mean,
no, it's definitely not fine.
I would rather leave work an hour earlier than I'm expecting and then go to the toilet at home or eat when I get home versus taking my time in my workday to go to the toilet, sit down, have lunch, just catch my breath after a difficult situation and then go home super late, feel tired and feel like it was the worst day ever.
Oh, that's insane. And I mean, like you just mentioned, basic needs. Now, what I want to say is, imagine sacrificing your basic needs, but you don't need to imagine, you're living it.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel? I mean, I know this question sounds simple, but I feel like, seriously, like, how does it make you feel? What is like the real answer there on a day to day? You going through that? I mean, you mentioned to me about not even us, yeah, sacrificing eating,
Yeah.
going to like a, what is it, 9 hour shift, 12 hour shift, and not being able to eat. Like, how do you cope?
I mean, I can't speak for other people,
But your own personal
but
experience.
from my experience, it was difficult in the beginning. I mean, in med school, you are trying to juggle attending university, which is essentially you working in the hospital unpaid. You're trying to attend your tutorials. Sometimes you get lunch as a student, which is wonderful because your excuse is, I have a tutorial at 1. Can I maybe go eat something before? And usually the interns are pretty nice and they're like, yeah, go take a lunch break. But now I am the intern,
Oh, yes.
so can't do
So they
that
can't fool
now.
you. They can't fool you.
See, so as a student, it was juggling a lot of things like academic work, getting home after an 8-hour day and thinking, okay, so my options are I'm either going to shower now, go to sleep clean, or I'm going to eat and have enough energy to study and then get a little bit less sleep. But I know that I've studied or I've worked on my assignments, so my academics are fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to pass this degree. It's been too long. I just want to get through the degree.
Yes.
So as a student, you were sacrificing a lot for this piece of paper. And now as an intern, you're sacrificing a lot more of your basic needs for your patients. So it's one of the less healthy careers, I want to say. As a doctor, I preach a lot of, you need to drink 2 liters of water a day. I don't even drink 250 mils.
So you're not even practicing what you preach.
I'm dehydrated at
Yeah.
baseline. There's patients who have kidney issues. I look at their blood results and I'm like, mine's probably the same as yours, but can't make it my problem. We're here to focus on you. So yeah, as an intern, there's a lot of basic needs that we sacrifice, especially after long work days and after being on call. It's mostly things like sleep, eat, toilet, shower, the basics.
Yes.
Never mind things like, am I going to go to gym today? Am I going to socialize? It's someone's birthday. Am I going to go celebrate with them? It's someone's wedding. Am I going to get leave to attend the wedding or someone's funeral? I've got 1 day of leave now to cope, but then tomorrow I just need to pretend everything's fine and just deal with my patients and their problems. So there's a lot of sacrifice, small sacrifice, but in a big way.
Well, I mean, no matter how we look at it, you are sacrificing your life for many, many, many others.
Yeah.
So I think, no matter whether people are thanking you or showing a bit of appreciation for it, I think you must just keep patting yourself in the back. And like I said, just listening to the things that you're sacrificing, it's insane.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure people are listening to this, like, especially the fitness heads like that eat every 2 hours. Like, what? Sacrifice food for 7 to 12 hours? Hell no. That is not possible. But you are a living example of how it is possible,
Yeah.
And you're not looking at it, through that lens of, I'm doing this just because. You've got your reasons, you've got you fighting for other lives.
Yeah.
Let's put it like that, because I mean, we go back to your previous conversation where you said every second, every minute counts. When you're dealing with a child, you're holding this child and you're calling for help.
Yeah.
Imagine in that time you were taking a break to, oh, I'm hungry, I need to let me just 1 minute just get a bite.
Yeah.
You are not thinking about food, you are thinking about saving a life. So people won't see it like that, but the more we're learning about your experiences, we're becoming more understanding and seeing, oh, this is why she can't fulfill her basic needs.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
It's a pleasure. There's a lot of things, and again, going back to my humor as a coping mechanism, sacrificing things like not eating lunch most days is something that a lot of doctors go through. There's no time to just, okay, at 1 o'clock I'm having a lunch break, because I know it's different for private healthcare workers. It's
Okay.
different for shift workers. They have a set tea time is 10 o'clock. It's 15 minutes. I'm taking my tea. Everyone else must
May I ask? May I ask how? How is it different? Like, why is it different?
I think there's just a lot of policies in place. So I'm thinking about nurses specifically. They do 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
And it's unreasonable to expect them for 12 hours to now try to find a lunch break somewhere. It's not okay. Like,
No,
how are you supposed to deal with doing everything for all of your patients when you haven't eaten, you haven't had time to go to the toilet, and they constantly working with the patients for those 12 hours where we as the doctors are there maybe for first 2-3 hours, then we somewhere else doing something, then we're back there, then we're somewhere else. So we in more areas, but we're there for maybe 8 hours, 9 hours of the day. So they've got, well, I can't speak for all hospitals, but from what I've experienced, they have tea time, lunchtime, tea time. Like, there's set breaks that they have.
Okay.
They don't always take it exactly at that time, but they do try to get a break. But having experienced that as an intern for the doctors, you just kind of take what you can get. If it's quiet and you've managed to do all your work by 1 o'clock, you take a break. You take it while you can.
Okay.
If you don't get a break, you don't get a break. That's it.
So you have to sort of create your own gap.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah. Which is hard, but you get used to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. and would you say, so you were talking about now the private section. Would you say because of that it is better, or would you look at it like, even though it sounds better, the grass is not always greener? What is your take on it? I know it depends.
It depends. I don't think I haven't worked in private healthcare. I've just, seen a glimpse. I've job shadowed, so I've kind of just seen a little bit here and there. I've heard some stories from patients and from other doctors about private healthcare. I think it's easier, potentially, depending on who you are and which department you work in, for you to dictate your own working hours. Like, I mean, if you're a GP from your house, I can say, you know what, I'm only going to work from 10 o'clock until 12 o'clock, and I'm closing for an hour, then I'll start again afterwards. So I can dictate because I'm my own boss. In private, I'm assuming it works like that. But again, depends on who you work for, where you work, what department. Where in public, you're working for the Department of Health, you're working for your patients. You can't dictate what you want.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And, just before I ask you about toxicity in the work environment, I just want to dive still a bit more on stress and anxiety. And I remember you told me the other day, you said, remind me to tell you about what happened on the 9th of June, on that horrible day. And I had to write it down. I had to be like, okay, remind, 9th of June. So please, for the viewers at home, I still don't know the story because I want to also be in suspense. Please tell me and the viewers at home what happened on the 9th of June.
Okay, so let's trauma bond.
Trauma bond. I like that, trauma bond.
I'm going to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible, but also as real as possible. So in the department I'm working in now, we start work at 7 o'clock in the morning. We basically just review all the patients, make a little note, and then the seniors walk through with us at 8 o'clock. So we walk through at each patient, we check in how they're doing since yesterday. Are there any changes in their management, any changes in the condition that we need to, adjust our management for? Like, is the medication we're using working? Do we need to change it? They went for surgery. Are they recovering? Do they need to go for another surgery? Are they healthy enough to go home? Like, what more do we need to do? So we do that sort of walkthrough at 8 o'clock. It often takes 2 to 3 hours, which is long, but I mean, we make sure that we sort our patients out. And then after that, we split. So the seniors are in theatre doing surgeries, or they are in the clinic seeing patients who maybe come in a week after their surgery just to check in, how things are doing. And then the interns, there's usually 5 of us, and we are split between covering the emergency unit if we're on call, the clinic, so we help out seeing those patients that come in just for reviews, the minor theatre, which is basically all the lumps and bumps that need removal and cutting out, all those weird, wonderful
the lovely
things.
stuff, this.
Yeah. And then the wards. So we've got 2 wards, female and then male. So we split ourselves amongst those areas. Then there's always an intern who is post-call, so they end their shift when the ward round ends. So they would have been on for supposed to be 24 hours, but by the time the round ends, it's hour 27, hour 28 of your shift. So you go home. So that takes you down to 4. If someone is on leave, like this month, we have someone on leave every single week.
Okay.
So there's 3 of us split over those 5 areas. On Friday, someone had a doctor's appointment, so left after the round. So it went from 3 to 2. So it was myself and this other intern who were trying to cover 5 different areas at once. So it was a lot for us to deal with, and it just felt like there was very little understanding from the seniors, because they need help, or they want us to help them with their problems, but they don't understand that we're trying to do our best just to survive covering these 5 areas. We can't, there's 2 of us and there's maybe 5 of you, you know how to do basic things. It's convenient to have an intern, someone lower level, do it for you. So my friend was in the minor ops theatre doing all the lumps and bumps. I was covering the wards, trying to do both female and male surgical wards at the same time. And the seniors were messaging on the group, can an intern please come help? And at the clinic, we need help at the clinic. We need someone to do ECGs at the clinic. And the more we would say we're short-staffed, there's 2 of us. One is in the minor ops theatre and the other one's in the wards. We can't come right now. The more they would message and ask, is someone coming? Can we sort this out? And it was stressful, because as much as we want to help, we also would like just some understanding from you. The clinic ends before 1 o'clock. So the seniors run the clinic. If the clinic's done, their job is done, essentially. The wards are our problem. Whatever ward work doesn't get finished by 4 o'clock, the end of workday, we have to stay and finish it. So our priority as interns is to sort out the wards. If we don't sort it out, we go home late. So it goes from a 9-hour workday with no lunch, no toilet breaks, no nothing, to 10, 11 hours that you're at work. And the seniors, conveniently, 4 o'clock, gone. Gone, they're gone, unless they're on call. So the morning was chaotic. After my colleague was done in the minor ops, she came to help me in the wards. Then she went to the clinic while I finished sorting out the wards. There was a lot to do. Then we had our academic meeting, and the seniors they made jokes. It wasn't funny at the time. It's still not funny, but I laughed about it.
Because that's your coping mechanism.
Yeah, coping mechanism where they were like, oh, shame, you know what? Maybe we should have messaged in the hospital group to ask the other interns and, the other departments to come help us out, because we were short-staffed. And I was like,
maybe you should.
Maybe.
Maybe you should.
It's a good idea. I didn't know we could do that. Cool. Thanks for the help.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then they seemed very willing to help us. They said, you know what, they understand we're just 2 and there's a lot to do still. They'll do part of the job that we normally do, which is usually things that are admin related, stuff that's way below their pay grade. So typing out discharges for patients and small procedures. They said that they would help. They'd stay and they'd help. But after we had that meeting, they disappeared. They were gone, nowhere to be found. We messaged them for help with certain things and they just never responded. So myself and my colleague, plus the intern that was on call, we were trying to sort out the wards. And then it just went from like bad to worse. So my colleague was sorting out a patient, phoning the family to now break the bad news that this man has actually got cancer. We've just diagnosed it. He must come visiting hours, spend time with him. I need to put the phone down, go back to the patient. He's gone. He's not breathing. Runs to me and is like, I think he just died. Can you just double check? Patient died. Now having to phone the family, who you just told this man's got cancer. Well, actually, he's just passed away. So having to deal with trying to do your ward work, now breaking bad news to a family twice within 5 minutes, and then all the emotions that comes with that of like the family's crying and first dealing with a diagnosis, now dealing with a death. You need to just keep your cool, and this is more something that she experienced, but I witnessed.
You witnessed
and
it.
There's nothing that I can do. I can't, tell her it's fine, just cry. It's okay.
Yes.
Because we're not supposed to. We can't
Doctors don't cry.
We can't be in the ward with 30 patients crying our eyes out because someone died.
You guys have, I know it sounds weird, but you are sort of supposed to be the pacifier. You're supposed to keep others calm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much our job.
So how did that, sorry to dive back, but how did that play out after because you obviously not ran to double check, and then from there what happened?
So there's a lot of admin that goes into processing after someone's passed away. There's forms that you fill out. You have to do their fingerprints. You phone the family to organize, burial services, or the undertaker must come collect the body. So she started with the admin, and then she phoned them back and, broke the bad news. They must come to the hospital. And then when they arrived, obviously she had a chat with them, and it was hard because after she spoke to them, she came to me and like she was on the verge of tears. And I told her, as horrible as it's been, like, you've done what you could. You couldn't change what happened. Like, there was nothing more that you could have done. There's nothing more that we could have done. So as much as I want to say it's fine, it's not fine, but I don't want you to feel guilty. And it's something that in the midst of being overworked and like not having lunch break and short-staffed and frustrated and stressed, now dealing with all of this negative emotions. And at the same time, we had a patient upstairs who was also not doing great. Went from being fairly stable in the morning to now this patient's looking like she's not going to make it through the night. So we just tried to sort out the ward downstairs. Then we both went upstairs to that patient. She was like, she was not looking great. This was probably at 5:30. I told my colleague, like, just go home. It's fine. I'll stay with the on-call intern. You go home. She just dealt with dealing bad news twice to the same family. It's a lot, and it's been a stressful day. So she ended up going home, I think, at like 5:45. Then I stayed with the on-call intern, who covers, when they're on call, you cover both wards plus the emergency department. So I said to her, okay, it's fine. You sort out this patient in the ward, and I'm going to go to the emergency department and see if there's any patients there that I can sort out, just to make the work a little bit easier, so she's not stressing about this very sick patient, and then also there's work that needs to be done elsewhere. While she was sorting out the patient in the ward, I decided to sort out any patients that needed to be seen in the emergency department, just so that she could focus on this patient who's now very sick and needs attention, and I would just lighten the work for her. And then once I sorted out the emergency department, it was probably 6:15, and then she said, like, it's fine, go home. So I ended up leaving. So that was a 11-ish hour work day for me, and my friend had a practically also 11-hour work day. Pure chaos. No time to just catch our breath. And then I got a message, I think 15 minutes later, that lady, the patient from upstairs, passed away. So it was probably one of the worst days we've experienced. We were understaffed, we were overworked, we were being pulled 50 different directions all at once, trying to please the patients, the nursing staff, the seniors, and like putting everybody else's needs before our own. Also feeling like people say that they're there to support you and they're willing to help, but when it actually comes to putting actions to your words, they nowhere to be found. They've gone home. They've gone home at 4:00.
It's almost like giving you guys false hope.
Yeah. It's this thing of like false promises of, I'm here for you. If you struggle, reach out, we can talk about it. And then when you actually do and you become vulnerable and you trust them, they say, oh, well, manage your time better.
So
Everyone's been through this. You should like get through it too.
that's, for me, that's a toxic environment.
Yeah.
And I feel, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when people do that, when they tell you, okay, no, I'm going to sort that out, as sort of just to calm the situation, just in the now. But then when push comes to shove, when it's supposed to happen, the stress and anxiety just comes back up again.
Yeah.
But that person was smart because at that time, they know where to be seen or to be found.
I would much rather have someone tell me, I understand that you're feeling stressed and, overworked, but it's work that I feel confident you can do on your own. And I just want to let you know that I'm still going to leave work at 4:00. You are welcome to phone me if you have any questions. I'll be available, but I'm not going to stay behind and assist you with your work. Then I know, okay, I just need to work extra hard to get my stuff done so I can also leave at a decent hour. And I know that I can't, not that I can't rely on you, but that I shouldn't be dependent on you to come save me. I need to work with who I'm with at the hospital, my colleague. We need to rely on each other to get through it together, and that's basically what we had to do.
And that's what's nice about that situation. I mean, there's nothing nice about the situation, but what I liked about what you mentioned about what you did for your colleague, you told her, go home, just rest and switch off. You sort of created that healthy environment for her. Something that I feel that's how we can avoid a toxic environment, is if people just contribute to it. People themselves create that healthy environment.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at how people leave jobs, people create that toxicity within the work environment, no matter what you do. So I'm glad to hear that you created that healthy environment for your colleague, because she can at least go home and be like, wow, I had this awesome, she might not be saying it, but she's definitely thinking it, I have this awesome colleague that actually allowed me to switch off for a bit because of the day I had.
I think people just need to, it's very cliche to treat others how you want to be treated. So I
It's very
think
important.
that's sort of my mentality. If I had a really overwhelming day, I don't particularly want to be here, for 11 hours. I want to go home and cry. I don't want to do anything else. Don't ask me questions about whatever. I just want to go home and cry. If you don't need me to be at work, if you can manage a situation with the two of you, and I'm just going to stand here and observe the trauma with you, trauma bond with you, just let me go home. So those are things that I would appreciate people to do for me. So it's things that I think I like to do for people. Maybe it'll set an example, Maybe in the future, if there's nothing that I can help with, they'll say, okay, have an early day, go home at 4, it's fine. Like, we will manage everything else, it's okay. Or, pulling your own weight, but also helping out in the other areas. So I said we cover like 5 areas. If my area is done, I will go to the others to make sure because we're a team. I want to make sure we all leave on time. There's no, the person in the wards is going to be here till 6 o'clock and we all leave at 4 kind of mentality. And if you are that one toxic person that starts your nonsense and is like, you know what, it's 4 o'clock, bye guys, I'm gone, I'm not even going to check on you, it's going to cause resentment and everyone's going to start doing it. It just becomes like this toxic cycle of, you know what, why should I be the nice person if you're not nice to me? So it's nice just to, you know, be the bigger person, try to set the standard of making it a healthy work environment, or as healthy as
somebody
it
has to
can
lead.
be. Exactly.
Somebody has to lead. Somebody has to take charge. And that's, you've mentioned quite, for me, that is a big toxic trait within the workplaces. People give that false hope, false trust.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you get that what do you call it, that office gossip,
Yes.
I'm sure you guys have that same issues as well.
And there's a lot of so I love my team.
Yes.
I love my colleagues. We work really well together, but there's also certain days or certain situations where you feel like the trust is not there, the accountability is maybe not there, the amount of effort that should be put in is not there. We all have our off days, but it's just a fact of like remembering, okay, you know what, at the end of the day, all 5 of us are feeling the struggle. We all don't want to be here. We're all tired. We're all exhausted. I need to not be selfish. I need to do my job properly. I need to help out where I can. And I need to try to make sure we are all on the same page in terms of we're all afloat. I'm not leaving someone behind to sink on their own kind of thing. Yeah, it's hard, but getting there.
Getting there. Baby steps. Baby steps.
Exactly.
No, thanks, Nadia. It's wow. I mean, you know, I want to say it's good to hear, but it's like very emotional, and you guys go through a lot of emotions. And I mean, the biggest thing is that you have to switch off, you know. And I can only imagine with your toxic environment compared to everyone else's, is that you have to deal with emotionless as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what makes your environment different to everyone else. Like, you know, we always say that there's toxic environments everywhere you go, blah, blah, blah. But the toxic environment that you guys go through is like next level. Seriously, it's next level. Like, I mean, I can mention all the small things we have within the office, you know, the gossip, the trust, or the promises and all that. But you guys are having that, but also staying, like I said, emotionless. You don't have that second to feel, this person spoke nonsense about me, I'm gonna get them.
You've got to be professional.
You have to be professional, number one, but number two, there's no time to feel a certain way. Oh, so and so spoke bad about me. I mean, that is, for me, that is insane. That is insane, and I get it. So I get it why, and I'm sure you've had those moments where you literally, as soon as you leave the ward or surgery, pediatrics, you go home, you switch off, and you cry. I get that. I definitely do the same.
I love a good cry.
I can't speak the same. We're not speaking the same language. But Nadia, is there anything with regards to mental health and toxicity within our work environment? Is there any, like, a message that you would like to take home for the viewers? Something from you, could be something from your experience.
I think that the biggest learning curve I've had is you may think you're struggling alone, but you're really not. So don't be scared to talk to people about what you've experienced or how you're feeling in the moment, how working this job makes you feel, because you'll be surprised how many people are experiencing the exact same thing as you. And just talking about it won't solve the problem, but it does take a big weight off your shoulder.
Wow. Well, you've heard it there, folks. Guys, Nadia, thank you so much. If there's anything, you know, with mental health, this is something we can talk about for days, months, years. If there's any questions you have for Nadia, please comment in the comments below. Anything you would like more advice with regards to toxicity in the work environment, how to cope with stress and anxiety, I always advise talk to someone. I mean, like I said, you can comment if you can't, or you're shy, or whatever the reason is. Just, I think the best advice for me to give to you is to talk to someone. I've spoken about it before, where even talking to strangers feels better. There's no judgment. This person doesn't know your life, but sometimes you get the best advice from strangers. But I think the moral here is just talk to someone. Talk to someone. And yeah, I think we'll just continue diving on. I know this one was, I don't want to say dark
Deep.
episode, it was deep, but I think we should maybe also start giving advice. What do you think for next time?
So, yeah, on
Let's
a
give it-
lighter note.
On a lighter note, we'll give some advice next time. So, ladies and gents, till next time. And also, don't forget to
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe. We need to get the subscribers up. So, ladies and gents, till next time. Bye.